Welcome back to the Creative Odyssey podcast. You might notice things look a little bit different here. My name is Lizzie. If we haven't met, I'm the producer here at the Creative Odyssey, and we decided to shake things up a little bit and have a conversation, the both of us.
Don't forget you're the wife too.
For the last few months, I've had a front row seat into all of the conversations that you get to see on the screen. And one thing I've noticed is that there's this commonality that exists between all of the conversations. And that is each creator that Sheran has interviewed, all of them have given themselves permission to create. They never waited until someone stopped and said, hey, you need to create because you're really gifted at this. And so we decided to sit down and have a conversation about this and how it kind of has played out in our own lives today.
Yes, hello everybody, welcome back.
So how is how is needing permission or not needing permission played out in your creative journey? I guess we'll start there.
Well, I think in my situation, permission looked very abstract, I think, because parents gave me permission, but I somehow felt that society didn't give me permission. Yeah, that process kind of brought me, I think it took me back many years. I think if I understood that I don't have to take society's permission and I could just give myself permission, I guess, then I would be much, much far advanced in what I would be doing now. So I gave myself permission out of a need because I completely put creating aside and it wasn't part of my life at all. And that was a very scary place to be at. So now that I have given, I think, we're in Sri Lanka right now and recorded the podcast, something that, again, I had to give myself permission to say, should do this. It's a good idea. It's a crazy idea, but it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I think in my own, growing up as a kid, permission always equated to, I think, finances. Mm-hmm. If I didn't have access to materials, I remember wanting, oil pastels and, more, not just, Crayola crayons. I wanted something that was little, what we used in art class. I wanted the professional things. And I remember there were moments where I was asking for those things and I didn't get them and just thinking, wow, if only I had this oil pastel in my hand right now, I could create. So, yeah, it's interesting to think about permission. I think another component of permission we're going to dive more into today is when it comes to relationships and the people you surround yourself with.
For sure.
You talked a little bit about growing up and your downfall. We've heard previous episodes too about your story with that, but how has relationships directly impacted your willingness and openness of being creative?
I think people who affirmed what I was doing, right, they definitely helped. But unfortunately, the more weight was given by me to the people who didn't. So the people who are surrounded now, I just think about how I go out of my way, especially in Cleveland, to find other creatives, to create community. Because to be a creative, to dream, to do all of these things, you do need to have a certain amount of people, a community that tells you hey, you're not crazy. What you are doing makes sense. There's value in it. I don't think I properly had it, even though I had it. It's really a interesting dynamic when I think about that, right? I wish my younger self understood that, talking to Sheran, for example, she had parents that encouraged her to be creative. And that's all she needed. She didn't care about what society thought. And she was able to get to wherever she needed to go as an interior designer. That was no problem for her. So I think that's one of those important things. So how about you? I mean, we haven't talked about you.
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking, it's fascinating. When we have conversations with other people who are creative, we immediately feel inspired to go out and continue the work that we're doing. And it always happens vice versa, too. The people come back to us and they're like, oh, my goodness, we had this great conversation. I'm excited to play the piano again or dive into this creative project that they had put down for a little bit, which inspired us to start meeting more intentionally with people. That way, it just continues that flow it's a different kind of way to kind of spark that flow state. And our relationship was built upon our creative endeavors and wanting to support each other in that.
Let's talk about that then, I guess.
Start there.
Tell people how we met, I guess, and then that in itself.
Yeah. So I'm a graphic designer and I do digital illustration. I started that probably almost 10 years ago now. I was in college, took a workshop on how to do calligraphy, and I just was hooked automatically. For me, calligraphy gave me the freedom to create in a new way because it's constrained with just letters. Blank canvases have always scared me as a perfectionist, and so I naturally just felt connected to calligraphy and all of the things that I could create with it. So when we connected, I was still kind of in my journey of learning more about like Procreate and iPad and digital design, wanting to get more experience and more practice with utilizing my skill to create things that were like actual tangible products. And so when we met, I had commissioned you to build a welcome desk.
Yeah.
Out of wood, and I had seen engravings and things like that before. I love going to Hobby Lobby and all those places, and I'd always dreamt of having my artwork in different forms. So I told Sheran, like, hey, if you need help with anything, if you ever need a graphic designer, I would love to help you. And so from there, we just kind of started partnering. And
yeah, because I was doing wood engravings and stuff like that. So I wasn't good at the illustrating part.
You were buying things on Etsy.
Yeah, at the time I didn't know how to do that. And yeah, that was intriguing for me because like I didn't have any other people that I could, be creative with or partner up with, I guess. Right?
Yeah, and I think at that time I didn't see it like as a creative community. I saw it as like a work opportunity. I guess for me, I always saw it as like if I'm going to use any of my creative work, it's going to be for some kind of business or like mutual exchange, like you're benefiting in some way from it. So I didn't realize that I needed someone because I was at that point too. I was starting my business and I had no idea what I was doing. So to have someone there to kind of bounce ideas off of and kind of talk through some of those things was really helpful. Because then you even built the display for our first market for the Love You Letter Co.
Yeah. What was the display?
It was like half circles, like those arches with some shelves put in them. And it had the ability, he like designed it so that I could kind of take it down and set it up on my own, and then I wouldn't need anybody to do it. And we fought over what colors to paint it.
Yep. And I lost. A battle I learned, I would never win.
Yeah. And it's funny how those like minor feuds kind of continued. Like we got to see part of our creative visions. And I think for me, it was the first time maybe I saw that like creativity is such a subjective thing that they're like, and that there's never like, as my perfectionist self, I'm like, there's only one way to design this room. It should function this way. There's only one way to design this card.
Yeah, you were really one-way sighted. That was annoying.
I think because I didn't see it as creativity necessarily, because I didn't think I was a creative then.
Right, that was a whole thing too.
Yeah.
You were struggling with your own identity because you didn't. Yeah, I remember when she said like, "Oh, I'm not a creative. I don't see myself as a creative," and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Yep. So when we started to have those conversations, I think that's when it became more real for me. So now, to this day, we still have to support each other in our creativity. So thinking about that, like what's one, whether it's a day-to-day thing or kind of situation where you have found that, or maybe a rhythm we've adapted that allows us to kind of give each other the freedom to be able to support each other.
Well, we had to first understand how it happens, right? Like our rhythms and whatever. I think, because we've been married 2 years now, and I think the first year you were struggling a lot because I wanted a lot of alone time to create and do that kind of stuff, and you were looking for a lot of time together. Like your love language is quality time. So we were struggling there for a bit, right?
A little bit. I think I knew the value of you stepping away and taking the time. But But it's interesting because, like, I guess I didn't really truly understand the way your brain worked. That, like, while you'll spend, like, 5 hours in the basement, like, in my head, I'm like, oh, he's just woodworking. But you're not just woodworking. You're, like, dabbling on your computer and, like, making music and, like, maybe standing for, like, 2 of those hours.
Yeah.
So I think I had to adjust with, like, the fact that time really does escape from you and that it's, like, it's not the way I organize my time.
Yeah. 'Cause what did you say? Like, you didn't feel like you were a creative, but you were good at organizing and something like that.
Perfectionist. Yeah. Functionality. I think I always saw, like, my creative is functional. Yeah.
Yeah, because what did you do with your for your family when you got into creativity? Like, you were doing a bunch of projects for them, right? Like wallpapers and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was kind of like the person that would, interior, I guess, design was something I was really interested in. So, like, I was always the one that would figure out how to design the room and, like, I would paint. I was the painter in the family because no one else wanted to pick it up or knew how to do it. So I was like, okay, let's just try. We grew up renting houses, and all the houses we rented, all the walls were white. And I always found that so boring. I always wished I could just paint a wall. So when I got old enough to do that, I was ready to do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the first time I got to do that, everyone in my family questioned the color I picked.
Oh.
I picked, like, this, like, grayish teal color, and they were like, there's no way this is going to look good. By the end of it, everyone loved it. So
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So even thinking of that story, though, it's interesting. Like, I feel like my creativity, I've always had to fight for it.
Okay.
No one ever gave me permission, I guess. So I always felt this need to kind of fight for it. So even when we were talking through our own home and stuff like that, I remember us having conversations about what things should look like, what colors should be on the wall.
Yeah, every time I would disagree, you would get triggered.
Because I felt so strongly, because I'm like, all the times I had to, like, prove that it was right. But
then having two creative people who, that I guess we learn how to kind of compromise.
Yeah, because I think your experiences and your trauma informs your creativity.
Wait,
in
what?
some ways. I think in some ways your experiences and your trauma inform your creativity.
Inform?
Yeah. It guides that process.
Elaborate.
So I think, I've never thought about this before, but the process in itself is impacted by your experiences and your trauma, right? Like how open you are to being curious, how open you are to trying new things.
Right.
And then that's what guides you to the end result. So when you've spent all this time and energy and effort into being curious, into trying to create something, in our situation, I guess, our home, trying to create something that's homey, that feels good, that functionality piece, that home is very close, like, to you. It's like where you spend your entire life. So when you think about the outcome you're trying to achieve, that process, it's been impacted by your trauma and your experiences, then that product is going to be a product of your trauma and experiences and how deep you can go with that. So, yeah, I guess we've had to learn how to kind of navigate that with each other, and not only with home design, but then also I think, like, with our own creative projects and our own businesses and how we critique each other and kind of see what we've created.
Yeah, because Lizzie Lizzie started a business called the Love It Co., and now I'm part of it. And that was hard too, trying to be partners, for me to be on the back seat and be like, you're the creative director and I'm the woodworker and everything else type of person. And that was, like, she has a greeting card business, right? How would you say that?
Let her go, yeah. Greeting card and home decor. That's all based around grief and healing, which is my experience. So it's very close to me.
Yeah, and so learning how to work with that was a huge challenge because I think we're both strong personalities when it comes to creativity. So finding a way not to have too much friction, right? I think also trusting each other's lanes sometimes. Yeah. Now we are in a point where, like, colors, I don't even bother to give my opinion. It's like, I just let you do your thing, which I know it turns out to be okay. What do you trust me for?
I trust you for your resourcefulness. You have a creative brain for like using things that I would never have thought of use to like create the solution I need or
Problem
we
solving.
need problem solving. Yeah, because I think coming from the American culture that I do, like it's like you throw something away and you buy the thing that's brand new and fixed and ready to go. But you're always like, no, wait, I got this scrap piece of wood in the basement, or like I have this weird hardware that's gonna work for the project. Just like trust me with that. Which is how we got to my office the way it is now.
Right.
With the bed.
Yeah, we built a Murphy bed. That is the bed that folds up to the wall because she needed an office, and we converted our guest bedroom. And yeah, we did not build it with the right hardware. Like you can buy a whole kit to do that, and we didn't do that. We simply, I mean, I did some research and designed out of a boat swivel chair piece, like the hardware part, and it works.
It works. That's the job.
How long has it been? Like a year?
A year. Yeah. About a year ago. Yep. I think also though we've learned that like we need to have our you just said our own lanes in creating. And we've even said that to people who are working with us and things like you need to have your own space to create on your own, because when you don't, that's when the work you're doing for other people becomes really hard because you attach yourself to it. So I think anytime I've tried to like come into your lane too much and then I'm trying to orchestrate too much and then you're like, no, it's not supposed to be like this. Or vice versa.
Yeah, she just hides things from my things from me, and then I can't even find anything. And
Oh, that's funny that you pulled that out of
what
that
do you
conversation.
The most amount of my time goes into looking for things that I put in a specific place.
And yet we're still more functional in that way.
We can beg to differ. In your mind, I think we are functioning well, but when it comes to me, it's another barrier.
Yeah. So I guess thinking about permission and how we often feel this need, I know when I think about my demographic, like young women, I think we're always waiting for someone to call something out in us and to affirm us and to, oh yeah, oh my gosh, for sure. I think because, I don't know, like we're given this role to play, and unless someone tells us, hey, you should go sing on this team or you should write this book, like it's hard for us to take that step to do that. I don't know why that is. But I think there's also the part, I guess what I'm trying to get to is that you just feel like you're not good enough. So how has that played out for you?
I'm not good enough plays a major role in my music side, or has been playing a major role in my music side. I started playing piano at 5 years old. My grandma was a music teacher. And I did music up until I was 17 years old, and I came to US, and I was like, all right, I'm done with this. I'm not good enough. Got into my career, didn't touch a piano, none of that stuff. So it took me until I was 30 kind of to actually pick out my piano and actually play. So fast forward to now, I'm in a space of like we're making music with friends and stuff, like who are on the podcast. And I'm not good enough. It's still there, but like now I was like, I don't care. I am here to create. I create for myself. I create with my friends. I create to collaborate. If it's good or bad, I don't care anymore. As long as we vibe together.
How do you get to that point? Because even like I'm thinking like not feeling good enough is like that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So what are like one or two things that you've done to kind of get to the point where you can like get rid of that thought or deparalyze yourself from getting stuck in the I'm not good enough?
So when I went through my divorce, right, I kind of went downhill like completely. And around that time was when I realized I need to start getting back into creativity. And the first thing I did was grab a piano. Like that was the first reaction. It wasn't to paint, it wasn't to write, it wasn't to anything else, even woodworking. It was to play. And at that moment, it was more of a cry for help. than anything else. So when you're in that kind of low point, you don't get to like think if you're good enough or not. You don't even, it's not even a thought, right? So I started recording myself on the phone just to like question, like, am I any good? Like after a while, after I was playing or something like that, because I kind of got the idea that I was kind of good, but I wanted to see if it was true or not. Because when you're in the moment, you're playing or whatever, you tend to think you are good or whatever, and then you listen to it back and then you hear all the mistakes. So yeah, I think it was out of necessity for me to be like, okay, I need to create. If not, excuse me, if not, I'm gonna, lose my mind or something like that. So fast forward to like, I kept just playing, playing, playing. I didn't care. I wasn't putting it out because I didn't think I was good enough. Um, it's interesting how like I've heard people say like, I create I create for myself, right? I create to create, and not to like put on social media and that kind of thing. And actually, music is one of those things I think that I feel that way. Even though I think the end of the year I want to see if I can put out an album or something like that, instrumental. But yeah, I have so many music I've recorded by myself that a lot of people haven't heard. Don't think I don't know if I'll put it out or whatever because I don't think it matters to me. What I'm doing here matters to me, so therefore, I'm doing it. But that is one of those instances. It doesn't matter if you're good or not, as long as if it's helping you connect to yourself.
So to the person who is feeling like they're not good enough, they're ready to throw in the towel because someone else hasn't pointed out the fact that they're good enough. They're just in a really hard place and they're like, this is stupid. This is not doing anything for me. What would you say to them?
Not doing anything for me in the sense like
they're not feeling like it's helping them. They're posting constantly on Instagram every day. Like maybe I'll give you like a musician. They're on Instagram posting every day. They're doing covers. They're practicing music every single day, and they're just like ready to throw in the towel because they just feel like they're not good enough, and no one else has given them permission. They've never pointed out to them that like, bro, you need to keep going because you're really talented. What do you say to them?
One thing I would say is what one of our guests, Sharon, said. She's an interior designer. We talked about consistency is the most important thing because then you can find yourself and your style and that kind of thing, right? But more importantly, ask yourself why you're doing it. Because again, like for me, it's been hard not having a piano around this last 2 weeks because I felt like I somehow or the other been able to play the piano on a regular basis. That I've noticed when I play, I'm able to, I don't know, I hear some emotions come out of the music that I don't think I've ever really felt or even able to like point out that this is such a feeling. So knowing that, I would tell that person, listen, if you're trying to become a musician and you're tired and you don't want to do it anymore, give up. But if you're trying to create for the sake of connecting with yourself, for the sake of healing, for the sake of all of that, then you cannot stop. Stopping is the failure. Not making it is not the failure, right?
Yeah, I think the tricky thing with consistency is like it's such a big player in like helping your creativity evolve and for you to master a skill, but it's so hard to see like the process because it can feel like you're so like immersed in that process. Speaking from my own experience, like you think when you first start out, you're like, oh, in 5 years, I'm going to feel like I've mastered this thing and I'm so good at this thing. And that's just not the case. Like you continue to see people that are better than you, who are further than you. So I almost guess, yeah, this idea of just like mastering enough, is that actually obtainable?
I don't think
Unless you ignore it like you're doing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think mastery is, unless it's a career or something. I mean, a mastery. If the mastery is going to help communicate what you're trying to communicate to others, to evoke other people's emotions, feelings, all that kinds of stuff, then yeah, go for that. But even that is kind of an ulterior motive. So you want to look at your creativity and what you're creating as a way of expressing yourself simply by that. And this is something I realized, and I've said this many times. Best way to give up on perfectionism is to say that whatever you create is what it's supposed to be. It's it's a snapshot of your situation where you are at. Like you look at famous paintings. I'm blanking out the famous guy who does Starry Night or whatever. Van Gogh, right? So you could look at that and there's beauty, but also when you know about the story, he was
Very
schizophrenic
depressed,
or something,
yeah.
or
A lot of mental health issues.
right? And when you look at that way, you can kind of see the picture more clearly as opposed to less abstract, right? A lot of people talk about the artistry and all of those things about that painting, but the way I look at it is like, this is a man who was very just all over the place, just saw this bright starry night and he decided to paint it, and it's very simple to me that way. Because I look at it from a point of like this X-ray vision of what that person, the artist, was and what they were going through. There's so much more meaning to me that when I look at that painting that way, as opposed to like a lot of people, like, they look at the artistry and the colors and the style and all of that stuff. Those are great too, but for me, that's the most moving aspect of that.
How can we be better about giving people permission? Because I think it's kind of a powerful thing that I think we can own. If we can ignore it. We can ignore this value in giving people permission to create and encouraging them and all those things. But I think once you acknowledge and understand that it's something we can do to help people, would you think you would do that?
Don't lie. Don't lie. Simply affirm, right? I mean, we were at a restaurant and there were 3 guys singing and a band or whatever. And you could see they were really good. You could see that more than they were good, that they were so passionate about what they were doing, and that their creativity was oozing. Like that, I mean, I went and talked to them, right? And affirm what they were doing. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, this is not wasting your time. From my perspective, which kind of matched where they're like, I grew up in a culture in Sri Lanka, right? Like, where creativity wasn't that really encouraged. And when I said that to them, they were like kind of moved. They're like, still some people look at us in that way, and that they're struggling to find a voice, to be taken seriously, right? So affirming comes from your genuine place. I just connecting with art if you really connect with art, I think that you actually get to connect with the artist and the creator, right? Whoever it is. And that if you can find the power of that and connect with that, then affirming somebody is not going to be hard. Now, it's hard for people who are not good, right? But then again, like, maybe it's not your place to go and tell them that they're not good unless they're making a fool of themselves. But even that, right? Even that is still them expressing themselves. So who are we to be like, oh, well, you're not expressing it well enough?
Right. Yeah.
You look at social media, there's so many people who do that, and they have following. Whether those people are there to ridicule them or not, there's a certain percentage of people who are actually like, no, I get this guy is trying to, like, the best example is seeing like people who can't sing on social media, but then they have a ton of like followers and all of that, and I'm like, how is this happening? So many reasons, but I also the real reason is that whether the audience hates him or not, he's connecting with them.
It's like the modern day American Idol.
Exactly.
Like, to this day, I remember all of the people that had horrible auditions.
Yeah.
But you don't remember the people who were good.
Right, exactly. was one of those things.
I will say firsthand, I've seen you give people permission, and I think you're really good at that. Just telling people like, hey, you're supposed to spend more time doing this, or like, think about pulling away time here and making space here because this is something you need to pursue. And I don't know. I just wonder if more people went out of their way to do that and like help people like cut to the chase and stop getting out of this autopilot, mundane thing kind of cycle we're kind of all in. I just wonder like what could happen with people.
I want to live in a world one day where your job is a side hustle, and whatever you do as creativity or for even enjoyment, like going in out in nature and connecting, all those things, I think should be looked out as more of. It should be more of a requirement than anything. A place where, a time where people are allowed to do that, and job is just a thing you do to make money, and the hard part is this, right? Like creativity is looked at, or putting time into creativity is looked up as doing hobbies. That's the number one fault. I don't think it's a hobby. It's more than that. I think it's just every person is built in. Every person has a built-in creativity, of how they connect with themselves, how they create all that. So we were told that those things are hobbies, and I think that's the biggest lie that we were told. It should be those things that are called hobbies. Those should be explicitly called ways how this human being expresses themselves and finds joy. That should be more of a requirement than like calling it a hobby. So like I wonder how it would look like when you're growing, when you're raising kids. How if you just take that word hobby out and look at creativity from the way I'm talking about. I wonder how much a child would feel permission to create, and that how natural it'll come out.
Yeah, because now that I'm thinking about it, it like makes me think about sports. Like sports is a hobby, but for some whatever reason, we put sports above a hobby, and we make sure it's like an important thing for a child to experience, like going to practice and all of those things. And we don't ever really tell them, oh, this is just a hobby. Like this is just kind of, it's part of life. People watch it, people engage with it, all of those things. So to kind of flip the narrative and
Yeah, I mean
creativity of
the idea I've heard is like team sports, right? Like how to be in a team, and that those things are important. But then you have a bunch of people who don't know how to connect with themselves, going into teams completely unhealthy, and then creating havoc and chaos because they don't know who they are. They're good at being team players, meaning individuality has to be kind of dimmed down a bit. So to find to create a child or whatever that has a balance of both, I think is the goal. Yeah, I think sports are good. It's just that if you don't teach your children how to connect with themselves and things that they like to do, like imagine like a child who's super excited about doing something creative and the parents allow them to, like, oh no, this is cool, like whatever. Like I wonder how much progress that child would make, like mental health wise.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, I mean, you used to be a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah, I mean, studies show like if you play an instrument, if you do anything creative, like it's going to be you succeed far more in math and sciences and all the STEM programs. So it's you can't have either or. You have to have it.
Yeah.
So to close out this episode, we wanted to give you a few tips on how to continue this conversation and encourage the people around you.
So before we end, since it's a bit of a short episode, since you've joined the podcast team or whatever, from what you've seen with the conversations and things like that, what are some of the things that have changed the way you look at creativity and how people should approach creativity and the creative identity?
I think like I've seen that it takes courage to be creative. You have to, it has to be a choice that you make. All of the people that we've had, they've talked about how like some people have like their creative job is like their full-time thing. Other people's have a full-time thing, and then the creativity kind of falls off of it. But either way, like they have to make the decision to be creative, and like the value that has not only in feeding like who they are as a person, but it kind of feeds everything in their world. It feeds their job, it feeds their relationships, it feeds their health. And so it doesn't matter whether you're a math professor or whether you're like a music producer, like those are things, but then there's even more things I think to explore outside of there.
Yeah, career isn't end all be all in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Especially you and I have noticed this in Sri Lanka. Like we've met creatives who have day jobs, and we have met people who have day jobs who are consumed in it and in that lifestyle. And there's a huge difference between the two types of people that I just mentioned.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like you have to pick your hard. Like either your hard is going to be just going to your 9 to 5, coming home, putting the TV on, disengaging from the world, self-care, whatever that might look like, or engaging with creativity. So whether it be writing, journaling, drawing, photography, videography, any of those things.
That reminds me, because I think at least 2 or 3 of my friends, when I talked to them, they were mentioning that I want to do something with woodworking or build something.
Yeah, yeah.
I heard that so many times this time around, and I've come the last 19 years. I've come 3 times, every 6 years or something like that. And it's the first time I'm hearing Sri Lankans telling me like, "Hey, I want to build something. It'd be cool if I could try to do this or that, or I think I want to make something with my own hands." And even for them to say that out loud was it was interesting for me to watch them say it, and then them also processing that. Because I think for the longest time, even growing up here, the goal was the career. Goal was the career and the money and the marriage and the kids, and then you just kind of disappear into the abyss and then die pretty much.
Yeah.
You know,
check the boxes off.
Right.
Yeah, and you've made it. Yeah.
Exactly. And now all of a sudden, I think a lot of people I hang out with are millennials. So it's been very interesting to see that they're like, I have a day job, but I think I want to also build this or get this made from somebody. That's something I was not interested in too. Like one of my friends had one of those epoxy tables made by somebody else, which even that I thought was very interesting, because that's something that I didn't see growing up as well. Like you just bought what was there. You didn't get anything made unless like you were one of those creative specific people that knew exactly what they wanted. And I think it could be maturity as well.
I almost, because the way your one friend framed it was like, he's like, I can feel like I need to do this. Like he was saying, like, I think this is what my ancestors used to do. And so I wonder if it's like that nature coming out now where we've become so far removed from like using our hands and engaging with people that now like it's like our humanness is like, oh my goodness, use this now.
Wow.
Otherwise it's going to disappear forever.
Yeah, even one of the guys we met, he has 3 kids in US, right? And he was saying how I want to carve this tree into this arch and all of these things, and he's been thinking about this for years, and he hadn't even told his wife about it.
Yeah.
And the wife was right there next with us, and she was like, "What? You want to do that?" Like,
right.
you know, that was interesting to me, and I think like that's what excites me, because I think you and I are onto something here, right? Like, and not just us, but any creative who's doing this understands why we do it. That's why all this time other people are looking at us like, wait, you're not getting any money or something, and therefore like kicked us, made us think that we're crazy or something. But now that we think about it, creatives are more progressive, more like ahead, I guess, of the curve. Because we are kind of going back to our roots, you know.
I don't think it's a coincidence that we're living in a time now where like mental health is such a big issue, and like people are struggling just to make it through the day with all of these concepts and like privilege that we do have in America, like comfy living. There's still something missing, and yet people have just removed themselves from, I think, things that we need, like creativity,
Yeah,
to process through all of those things.
exactly. I almost think that we should have like a hotline or something where people can call us like and tell us like, hey, I'm
You trying to do a real life Frasier now?
that would be fun. I do love Frasier. But no, it would be cool. Like, because I sometimes think like, I wish I had, I wish I get to be more creative so that I can talk truth into their lives and affirm their creativity. Because the reality is this: like, if you are creating by yourself, there is always a high chance where you're going to feel, your own judgment judging you and putting you down.
Yep,
That's
for
the
sure.
main thing.
I think we both can say we both have experienced that before.
Even now, right?
Yeah.
Because imposter syndrome doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't go away.
So I think like there's plenty of times where like I go down and you pick me up and vice versa. And you need that. That's the most important thing. So like maybe one day we can create a hotline and maybe one day we can have this community grow to a point where we would have a way where people can encourage others to create. That is very important, I think, for sure.
I think like for the people who are like struggling mentally, all of those things, it's interesting how people are willing to pay like $100 to go see a counselor, which counselors are good. Like they help us. And yet like we struggle to spend $30 just for like a sketch pad and some pencils or whatever. So I just wonder like if we kind of shift our mentality and just like take a step and gives ourselves permission to be like, no, like let me just try this thing to see if it helps. Because I think there's a lot of like one size fits all in our culture. Like we try to make people believe that if they follow these steps that they'll get the outcome that everyone else has achieved. And sometimes that's actually most of the time, that's not the case.
Yeah. Because the thing is, like, even those courses, if you look at it, those people, the difference between them and you is that they have been doing it for a long time,
right.
and they never gave up.
Right.
So they're teaching from all the lessons that they learned and giving it in a course, which is great, but for some reason it doesn't translate to the other person, when they're starting out.
Right. Yep. And I think we're really good at trying to take people's stories too. When we're having to go down our own path and figure things out for ourselves, it's not the most efficient way. We like things quick.
Yeah.
In America, we like quick results. We don't like things to hurt and to struggle a little bit. But for some of us, that's just the path we have to go down. So why as well be healthy and creating in that process, right?
Yeah, exactly. So then, since I think you do this well for me, like separating your creative partner or friend or whatever, what are some of the ways you can recommend people to support their friends or creatives in their lives?
I think checking in on projects, like just asking like if a friend is working on a piece of art or maybe they've previously played guitar or something like that, just asking them like, hey, like how's that going? Are you still playing? What's something new that you created? It's been so rare that I've had people personally ask me, what am I working on? And like, what's inspiring to me right now? That when I get those questions, I'm like, like this is supposed to be something that like fuels me and like I should be able to share with people. I think often people just ask me, how's the business going? And like, that's just like easy question and more relatable, I guess. But when people actually care about the work that I'm doing and the art that I'm creating and the people I'm connecting with through my art, it makes me more excited to keep going because it's like, that is the core. That matters more than the sales or the amount of products I'm creating and producing.
So asking people what they're working on.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to like do that either. I think sometimes too it can feel like a personal question, but for the person who's creative people always want to share what they're doing.
That's true.
They just never create the time and the space to do it.
And because of whatever negative feelings that they're dealing with, it prevents them from wanting to do it because the thing you have to understand is when you are a creative person, you are super excited about what you're doing. Like not everybody can match that energy. And
no.
I feel that all the time. And
Yeah.
because if you think about it, for a creative person to share a creative project, it's an outcome of a journey,
Yeah.
right? Like a journey that they've been on to figure out this idea and then make that happen and all that stuff. And only they can actually understand the brevity of how hard it was or things like that.
Right. Yeah.
So it's so important to find those people. And if you don't find the right person and if you talk to that wrong person, it's also so important to know that that's the case.
Yeah.
Like, some people don't have the luxury of being around creatives. I
Yeah.
think that's a fact, right? So if that's the case, you might only get the people who will not understand the value of it.
Right.
So in those cases, it's so important to remember sharing is still important, not keeping it into yourself, right?
Yeah.
But then know when those people say the wrong things, to not get hurt by them
Yes.
because they don't really understand what you have actually done.
Sure. Yeah. Which I think leads to just being curious. The person who's not creative or who's checking in with the creative person, being curious. If you don't understand the practice that they're doing, just ask them the questions. Like people who are really passionate about their craft are going to be so excited to share
Right.
all of the things and like not gatekeeping either. Like I would love it if someone came to me and was like, hey, I've been thinking about doing calligraphy. Like what's the first thing I can do? Or like, how do you, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I want to share that with you. There's like no limit to that. You're not going to sound stupid if you ask questions.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people who don't understand creative people just don't say that. Oh, I don't understand why is this so important.
Why not? Why can't they ask why it's
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They don't. I think that they don't. I think that
Yeah.
they pretend to like, oh wow or whatever,
Right.
and then
Yeah,
a discussion or discourse doesn't happen. Which,
Yeah,
if you really
sure.
care about a creative person, then
Right.
being honest is the best policy. I think.
Yeah.
Even if it's gonna hurt the person, just be like, hey. Well, don't hurt the person, but be like, hey, I don't understand what you're saying.
Right.
But I want to understand why you're so excited about this.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
me help me connect with why you're excited. Because as human beings, we can do that.
Right. Yeah.
We can connect if we know why.
Yeah.
And the reason is. So a lot of people just I don't know whether their own pride or not, or whatever the case is. I just think that simply like I guess today when I was interviewing Sharon, that she said something about her field, and I was like, tell me what that means, like
right.
because
Tell me more.
I don't know. I kind of get an idea, but I also don't. So I don't want to assume something here.
Yeah.
But the moment she explained it to me, I had completely understood the value of what she was saying, and it made complete sense. So it's interesting. It's literally human connection and how that happens. Right.
Tell me more is a powerful phrase. It's what I'd use with my students. So the first thing is to ask questions and to talk to people, check in with them. But then also I think we could do better at like inviting people to do creative things.
Yeah. Collaboration, right?
Not just collaboration, but just like trying new things. Like even a few days ago, I saw someone post on their story, they made like a fall wreath, which I've always been curious about, being the person I am. But I just have never, like, I'm like, oh, that's too hard. It can't be. And this person, like, summarized it in, like, 10 seconds of how to create a wreath. And so I reached out to my mom, and I was like, hey, when we get back to the States, can we make a wreath together? But, like, how much more, I don't know, like, what a fun thing to do instead of, like, just grabbing coffee is good. I'm a big proponent of coffee, but, like, to invite people to go to a workshop or something that's like creative, especially people who are depressed or going through a hard time. I just think if we can invite them in that intentional way,
that's a good
it
point.
invites them into trying something new and being creative.
Yeah, instead of trying to help them come out of their depression, just like, hey, let's go do something creative.
Yeah, yep.
That actually is a really good advice. When we cook sometimes for people, like we bring them into the process and kind of teach them what we cook and whatnot, and even that has been super like kind of helpful and healing to a lot of people, because then they learn then they learn a new skill,
Right.
right? And I just think that sometimes we don't have to talk about our problems all the time.
Oh, for sure.
As a person who talks a lot, I think that there's a place for creativity and not really about details. I'm learning that as I get older. Like, I used to be like, let's talk, and now I'm like, well, we don't have to talk unless you want to.
Well, so then my question for you is, so I talked to all the people on how to give permission to other people. What do you say to the person who's waiting to get permission?
First of all, stop, right? Like, you should not be waiting for permission, period. But it helps. That's a reality. We're human beings. We're looking for confirmation, right? So then look for confirmation. Look for people who you can trust, right? And go out of your way to network. I mean, even in Sri Lanka, I found out about I forget the name of the organization. It's a group of creatives, similar to some things that happen in the US. Creative meetup should be part of society. You know, I think about Socrates and Socrates and like in the Greek ages, like they say that the philosophers were talking and discoursing about like serious things and problem solving at the time. That was a way to pass time. And at those days, I remember at a young age, I thought that they were crazy, but now I understand that's how they progress society. That's how they solved problems and issues and allowed creativity to happen. So find the community. Don't stay behind. And especially, it was super encouraging to hear a previous guest, Sharon, talk about Sri Lanka being more open to creativity as opposed to the times I was growing up, right? So then that just means that it's happening. And even social media completely allows you to connect with people, right?
I was just going to say, you don't even have to go to an in-person networking event to start networking with people. Like, just start following people and, like, commenting on their posts.
Yeah.
The amount of people I've met that I'm like, hey, we've liked enough of our posts. We've, like, commented enough times. Like, we need to just grab coffee now because we're both supporting each other. Right. So, yeah.
Social media kind of takes the hierarchy away, which is a beautiful thing.
For sure. Yeah.
Hierarchy is a social concept that's been put out by society, but social media is completely changing it out.
Yeah. Even if they have like tens of thousands of followers.
Yeah.
Like don't be intimidated by that, because the people who are meant to be in your corner are going to be the ones that are cheering you on, whether they have 0 followers or all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think this was a good episode. Thank you, Lizzie, for being on the pod.
First podcast ever.
First podcast ever. And I think it'll be super exciting to see what's coming up. We have a bunch of exciting interviews coming up, really exciting ones. I can't even believe we're going to have those things. So super exciting. But until next time, keep dreaming, keep creating, and keep going on your own creative odyssey. Till next time, see you later.